Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Eric, and today we're going to talk about NIO House once again. Yes, NIO House, NIO House, NIO House. NIO. So you've seen on this channel before many different NIO House tours, whether it's in Oslo in Norway or all around China. I've been to so many NIO Houses, and just recently I went to yet another NIO House. This one was in Longgang District in Shenzhen. It's like the 6th or 7th or 10th or 50th, I don't know, NIO House here in Shenzhen. They just keep on popping up. There's a lot of people online who complain about NIO House. They say it's too expensive, it's a waste of money. NIO is burning all this cash building NIO houses. Now, I have a couple things to say to that, and the first is that I do believe in my heart and my soul, deep inside of me, that NIO actually, the people there, the management, the bean counters, the accountants, they have a much better understanding of the economics of the company and the viability of NIO houses. If they were really, truly a massive waste of cash, NIO wouldn't be building 5, 6, 7, 8 NIO houses in every single major city. Now even smaller cities, tier 2, tier 3 cities might even have 2 or even 3 NIO houses. Of course, NIO also has NIO spaces, right? And NIO spaces are smaller. They're very much similar to other brands and their sales centers or sales floors, where it's just a small retail shop in a mall focusing on sales only. Now, I didn't go and look through all the month-to-month data of how fast they're building out NIO houses versus NIO spaces, but it certainly feels like NIO spaces are kind of slowing down and NIO houses are kind of, the rate is increasing. Of course, there's still more NIO spaces than NIO houses, but it seems like they're kind of moving more towards an equilibrium in terms of build out. NIO is focusing more on building a NIO house in every single high-end district and every single high-end shopping mall. Instead of building a NIO space or a sales floor in every single mall all around town, in which there are hundreds of malls, they're only focusing they're primarily focusing on building NIO houses in the flagship malls, the high-end malls where the high-end customers shop. And of course, that probably makes sense because that's kind of the customer that they're looking for. Some of the other brands, they're building NIO spaces or NIO space equivalents, I guess you should say, basically in every mall. Every mall they have a space to sell their cars. I've got to assume that NIO has the data, and it makes more sense for them to focus their efforts in the high-end shopping malls and not have a sales floor in every single mall. I trust NIO management. If you're an investor, of course, it doesn't mean you should just, give them a free pass, but you should probably accept that they have more information than you. So in my opinion, it makes more sense to focus on the high-end malls and to be able to differentiate your brand and position your brand differently from all the other electric cars in China, of which there are many. And speaking of differentiation and positioning, that leads me to my next point. You have seen videos on this channel and probably other channels of Chinese shopping malls and all the different electric vehicles on offer in China. So you can see in these videos, there's just store after store after store, and they all look pretty much the same. They're just a small shop, maybe 70 square meters, 2 or 3 cars on offer, and they have a couple sales staff trying to sell you a car. And they're all usually pretty close to each other, maybe even right next door to each other. And so if you're, not a person that follows electric cars or follows the car industry, and you're maybe starting to get in the market for a car, you see all these cars next to each other. And to be honest, a lot of them look the same. And then the shops, the storefronts look the same. They kind of all blend together. As a customer, you don't feel like a strong idea of what is this car's position in the market? What is different about this car, and why should I choose this car? So if you have all these brands having retail shops that look the same, having cars that look roughly the same, all side by side, every single brand is interchangeable and they lack their own identity. So my feeling is that what NIO is doing with the NIO House is helping them to differentiate themselves and stand apart from the crowd. If you see a small Xpeng store and a Tesla store and a BYD store and a Zeekr store all next to each other, kind of maybe in the middle of the mall, in like the car alley, I guess you can call it. And then you see NIO having like an anchor tenant spot, ground floor of the mall, right on the corner, primary real estate. Then you say, wait a second, this brand actually feels a lot different from these other brands. You might not even think it consciously. It might be in your subconscious, but you might say, I want to check out this brand because it's here and it's separate and it's different. Whereas when you walk by a row of 5 or 6 different brands, you might say, I don't know, I guess I can look at this one, or maybe I'll look at that one. But you might not look at all of them. You might say, what's the point, right? So as far as branding, having a NIO house and having it be a different concept, I think is very important. In my opinion, what it does is it elevates the brand position and puts them on a higher level, and it helps to justify a increased cost compared to another brand because, hey, we're different. So this leads me to my third point, which is kind of like problem, I think, with some of the newer NIO houses, is definitely with the Longgang NIO house that I just was at the other day. And that is, actually, it's not so different. It's a NIO house in name only, really. It's basically a NIO space with a small cafe and like lounge in the back. Whereas it used to be that NIO houses were flagship stores and flagship locations, you know, had their own identity, whether it was something related to the local culture or the local geography or the local climate. Like if you go back and look at my video in Chongqing at NIO House there, it's located right there in a premium location where the two rivers converge and flow into one. And the special drink is really highlighting like the local culture and geography. It's like mountains and fog. And it really highlights the city of Chongqing. And then if you look at like flagship location, like in Shanghai, at Shanghai Tower, another amazing location. If you go to like Beijing, so I mean, I'll put all the links to my NIO House videos in the description if you haven't seen them. But if you compare those videos to like say some of the newer NIO houses that I've shown you, where it's like, okay, they're in a high-end mall, but they're not unique, they're not distinct. Even like the city drink is not very special. Like for example, we have like 7 NIO houses I think now in Shenzhen. How can you have 7 different signature drinks that highlight the culture and the flavor of the city, of a city like Shenzhen? Okay, like maybe in like Chengdu or Chongqing or Shanghai, where they have more of like a history and culture, you can come up with 6 or 7 or 8 different ideas. But here in Shenzhen, where there's like not a lot of history here, not really a unique culture here, like it's a migrant city, a lot of people are from different places. It doesn't have like its own food culture. Yeah, there's like Cantonese food, dim sum, that sort of thing, but it's not Shenzhen, right? That's like Guangzhou or Hong Kong. I went to check out the store and the drink, and it's like, oh, we have like local oranges and oolong tea. And it's like, okay, but like everywhere in China has oolong tea. And the drink was good, but like there's nothing special about it, right? If you look at Norway, for example, Oslo, the design of the space is like supposed to be reminiscent of the fjords of Norway. And the drink is supposed to be like a callback to, as a child when you would go and steal your neighbor's apples or something. That was the story they told. Whereas like here in Shenzhen, especially at this, the most recent NIO houses I've been to, there's nothing really special or unique about them. Even the space is just like, if you look at this NIO house in Longgang, it's just a square. It doesn't have anything special about the architecture or the interior design. It's basically a NIO space with a cafe. There's no place to do like yoga or, different activities that people like to do. There's a space for arts and crafts, and there's a joy camp. And that's it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it still kind of differentiates itself from other EV brands, but it doesn't make the NIO House special. One of the really cool things I used to like about NIO House is that it's changed a lot, is that originally, I remember NIO talking about it, is that every NIO House would have like a green wall, like a living wall of a green plant, made a NIO logo or just was kind of special. And now you have NIO House, I've been to a bunch of them, that don't have like a living wall, don't have anything unique about them. A lot of these NIO houses are kind of just like copy and paste, same chairs, same light fixtures, same tables, same feeling, right? And it's good, in a way for NIO, because that saves a lot on cost, saves a lot on interior design and architecture fees, but it makes kind of a lack a reason for anybody to actually go there, except for, hey, it's the NIO house in my area, and maybe there's an activity here once in a while. So I guess that's basically it, is those 3 things. One is NIO has a better understanding of the cost structure and the profitability of a NIO house than you do. So if you want to invest, you should trust them. Understand they're working with more data than you. Number 2 is the NIO house definitely helps to differentiate NIO in the marketplace, which I think is a really great thing. And then 3, what I just said is NIO houses in a lot of cases now, they're basically just a NIO space, but maybe slightly bigger. There's nothing really special about a lot of them anymore. There's no culture or geography or architecture features that are special, and the drinks are not even necessarily reflective of the local area or the local food culture or food heritage. Again, makes them cheaper, but it makes them less special and makes them less differentiated from their peers in the electric car market. So that's basically it. Let me know what you guys think, and I appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Adios. And make sure that if you are going to test drive a NIO in Europe or in China, you use my code. All right. Adios.